All right, so I'm going to continue explaining a few different stocks that I'm going to be keeping an eye on going into next week. We were just covering SMH and Marvell over here. Now I'm actually going to cover ELF with you. I think ELF has a great upside from here. If it wants to load, let it take a second. Come on. We'll just We'll let it breathe. We'll let it breathe. Let her breathe. Oh, come on. All right. Taking long enough. Okay, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on ELF heading into next week. We actually have an amazing setup. I think the sell-off was, I mean, based off technicals, the sell-off honestly was like kind of expected. I don't. If we would have pushed below 86, obviously that would have been even better. As someone who's looking to long this stock and buy some call options back toward, let's say, I don't know, this swing high, if it did come all the way down here, 132, right? That'd be a good target. Even 148, and obviously, back to all-time highs would be nice too. I think buying this stock right here actually isn't that bad if you're somebody who just wants to say, hey, I want to flat out buy this at, let's see, right now at $100. And let's say you want a starter position, put in maybe 25 to 50% of what you would like to, put into this stock. So if you're like, okay, obviously you would, if you're managing a portfolio and you hold multiple stocks and you want to make sure you can actually delegate your money properly and figure out, the actual risk reward here and whether or not you actually think based off fundamentals of the actual company and if they're actually healthy, whether or not you want to invest in the company, right? I mean, that's obvious. We want a company that's making money and consistently, showing growth year over year. So that's important to be able to understand and identify within balance sheets and obviously paying attention to quarterly earnings as well. So with that being said, I am not buying the stock. I just wanted to throw that out really quickly. I do think ELF is a healthy company overall. ELF Beauty has been great. Beauty is just, they're not going anywhere. But I don't want to dive into fundamentals because then I would actually have to pull up numbers. With this trade that I'm taking, or at least looking to take, I'm strictly going based off technical analysis. I want to really put some emphasis on that when I say it because ignore the fundamentals. You don't need to understand fundamentals in order to be a successful day trader. It's not the case. Fundamentals, obviously, to a certain degree, will make an impact, but that's realistically going to come down to the overall health of the company and whether or not you're going to buy it, like I said. So in this situation and how I'm preparing to position myself is honestly right now it looks really well. It looks really well put together based off the chart. So you can see, we had that double top here before we had the crash through from July, right, of 2024 all the way down here to April 2025. So yeah, we have that major pullback earlier this year when it came to the tariffs and everything that was going on with the economy and the uncertainty that was obviously causing the market to make a correction. If you were going based off technicals, you were not going long here at 148 anyways, if I'm being honest. So from December and moving forward, if you were going long and you were swinging especially, you were waiting for a break above the previous lows and a potential sweep of the low again, and then a slow kind of retracement and reclaim of 152 and above, right? You have the buyers that'll chase up here, and then you'll see them get stopped out here. Sellers will then come into play here, and then you'll have the distribution where, of course, you will either accumulate a little bit, make higher highs, higher lows, and so on, right? So that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to explain this because technicals don't lie, and If you're going based off technicals, you probably would have been looking to short the stock. But at that point in time, the market was very bullish. And I do think that if you don't look at any of this and we ignore it, a lot of people, because this was December, seeing Trump, become president of the United States, a lot of people were expecting a quick bull run. And maybe a lot of people thought there was going to be an aggressive move in the markets. But each stock moves in its own way. So each stock is like a human being. No human is the same. It's kind of what it is. So now that we covered that, we have from a macro, since this is the weekly time frame, on the macro time frame, this is very obvious to me that we've swept these lows, and I don't expect us to actually push down below $87 to $88 moving forward. I think the dramatic pullback after earnings was still a part of technicals. And if you are a technical guy and you have a system like I do where I'm looking to, for the most part, swing, and my expiration is going to be set, between 3, 4 to 8 weeks out, I would not have been entering here. It's just it just did not make sense at all for me to go long, especially since earnings was last week. So it just would not have made sense, because a lot of the times I'm not going to be trading earnings, and earnings is going to push that stock to go in the direction of which there are, major supply and demand zones, which would be liquidity. So in this case, we could have saw it push really high, right? If the earnings hit top bottom, everything looked amazing. And, not only did institutions or the street like it, but, retail was buying it up, blah, 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 blah. If it squeezed up and held above, let's say 132, accumulated here a little bit, and then slowly started to form like some sort of wedge above 150, that's a totally different ballgame. But we got an inverse head and shoulders. So with that high, low, fake out, sweep, high, low. And now that's potentially what we can see. So not saying it's going to happen, but if I were to expect something like this to happen based off, where I want to trade, it is logical and very simple to understand that the risk to reward is very good, right? From this low to this high, we have about a $45 move, and that's the reward. And if I have a loss, if I have my stop loss set up, well, I would say, hey, a daily break or a weekly break below $88 is gonna invalidate my trade, which it would. And it doesn't mean it's invalid forever. It just means for that specific trade in that setup, I do not want to see a break below this. And if it does, I will be patient and I will wait for it to maybe sweep this low again and then accumulate a little bit more. And maybe I'll hop into that trade again. But why would I hold at the break here? And then what if this dumps all the way back down to the all-time, to the lows of $40, $50? Not that I'm expecting that to happen again, but obviously we have a stop loss for a reason, and you have to understand how to manage your trade as well when it comes to taking profits and taking losses. And the risk to reward in my eyes is very good. So to me, this is a great setup moving forward. I think ELF, if we want to jump into the balance sheets and the earnings reports, I can definitely do that. There's a few things that I look at when it comes to the fundamentals of a company. And obviously, we would start with earnings reports and other things within the balance sheets and statements and blah, 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 XYZ, right? We can always jump into that and just see where their growth is, ahead and how that's looking and what type of projections we can make. But like I said, technicals do not lie. So I will definitely be looking at ELF heading into this week. I think this is actually a perfect setup for me to buy some call options, and I wouldn't mind having the expiration set for mid to end September, because if we see a little bit of a retracement back above 115, I'd probably start thinking about rolling my options, taking some profits off the table. But I do have a bigger vision on this, and my ultimate time target for this would be $147, right? At that point in time, I will take profits happily, and considering that's my take profit, and wait for it to either pull back and maybe hop into a new position later on, or wait for it to break above that $150 to $153 major and critical level of supply. So yeah, that's it for now on ELF, and that's what I'll be looking for coming into the week.